Hello and welcome to Literati. It's where we delve into the world of literature, African stories, and showcasing the brightest and rising African storytellers, poets, and writers. I'm your host, Judith Atibi. On today's show, we'll be reviewing the highly anticipated sequel to an international selling debut novel, In Every Mirror, She's Black, written by my guest, who I will be introducing shortly. But first, let's get into the sequel. It's titled Everything Is Not Enough, which follows the lives of 3 black women as they fight their personal struggles in one of the most egalitarian societies. It's Sweden. Everything Is Not Enough interrogates themes of place, prejudice, and patriarchy in Europe. And so let me welcome my guest. In Everything Is Not Enough, it's written by Lolá Ákínmádé Åkerström. She's a Nigerian-American author, speaker, and photographer based in Sweden. Her work has appeared in National Geographic, Traveler, the BBC, CNN, Guardian, Sunday Times, Daily Telegraph, New York Times, and Lonely Planet, among others. She's the author of award-winning non-fiction book, Due North, and bestseller Lagom, The Swedish Secret of Living Well. Everything Is Not Enough is a second novel. Lola, I want to say many thanks for joining me today. I appreciate you for coming on.
Oh, thank you so much. So honored to be here.
And congratulations on your book. I must say, once again, congratulations on the sequel. And, you know, I'm so excited. I waited to see how this characters that I've come to love so dear come to an end, and I'm so happy I did this. Thank you.
Thank you.
I must ask, right? I want you to start from the beginning. A sequel from what is an international bestseller, and that book sells. I would carry that for free. So tell us about, you know, the journey of writing Everything Is Not Enough. You know, from finishing the first debut to the, you know, In Every Mirror She's Black. You know, from conception to publishing.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, it's just a huge honor to be here. Now, In Every Mirror She's Black, that was my debut novel, and I really wanted to write the stories of 3 very different black women, very different backgrounds, different values, different religions, different socioeconomic classes, to see what it's like to live in a society where you're tired of surviving and you just want to thrive.
Right.
You know, and by putting 3 women together, I also wanted to give them the privilege of being individuals, because as black women, we're always seen as monolithic. Like, you know, if one black woman makes a mistake, then it's everybody. You know, if one African makes a mistake, then it's all Africans. So I wanted to give them the privilege of making mistakes, of finding grace, and being able to be better when they know better. Now, when the first novel ended, it ended on pretty much on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, it was.
And I said, their stories, they're just about to start self-actualizing. I cannot leave these women on this cliffhanger. And so that is why I had to finish the sequel, right?
Yes.
And I'd already started writing the sequel before I finished the first book. So I knew there was going to be a continuation of their stories. Yeah.
That is amazing. Well, thank you so much for not leaving us on the cliffhanger, I must say, because when I finished Everything Is Black, I mean, this was, what, 2021?
Yes.
I was like, Lola, please give me something. What happens? You know? So when we saw the press release that Everything Is Not Enough is coming, and it's a sequel, I'm like, that's my girl. Thank you. Yeah.
Absolutely. And the thing is, you know, with this book, even though it's a sequel, it can also be read standalone, right? So it's like, if a reader reads this, then they want to know where they came from. You know, and I always say this second book is more about the reader than it is about the characters, because you're meeting the characters in the second book in the middle of their mistakes, being very messy. And so for the reader, are you going to approach them through stereotypes? Are you going to give them grace to do better when they know better? So it really challenges the reader, the second book.
Now, I must say, right, without a question of a doubt, Everything Is Not Enough follows the messy lives of these women. When I say messy, I mean messy. We have, you know, come to love these women, by the way, and we kind of understand them. We're also rooting for them. And the central theme for the book is, you know, for this book is these characters finding their place in this, you know, in this new place that they now want to call home.
Yes.
So talk to me about the importance of this, of finding your place, but most importantly, did you draw inspiration from yourself as an immigrant in Sweden and trying to find your place in Sweden as well?
No, absolutely, absolutely. You know, they always say that the story you are kind of meant to write is oftentimes closer to you than you think. Right?
Well, there you go.
And I've lived in Sweden for 14 years. I know the language, I know the culture. I'm also a travel writer, and I'm so invested in getting beneath the nuances of culture.
Right.
Why are we different? What makes us similar? Why do we have to be different? And then also being a Black African woman in a very white-dominated space. Again, pulling a lot of experiences, and I always say that all the characters are not me, but they're also me in a sense, right? And so with this book, I really wanted to show through each character that nothing you do will ever be enough if you are looking for validation in somebody else's gaze, right? So everything will never be enough because you are not the one setting the rules and you're looking for validation in somebody else's gaze. So you might as well start looking inward and finding that place of contentment in your own life and then choosing how you want to show up in the world, you know. I'm an idealist. I wish everything, you know, it was, the world was a utopia, there was peace. But
that's the bane of my existence.
But reality is maybe not in our lifetime. So what can you do right now to try and find some inner peace, some inner joy, so you can at least live a full life against all odds? So
yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful about all against all odds is love and romantic relationship.
Yes.
You know, people like us that was here trying to navigate that. But love and romantic relationship was another theme that you explore very well in this book. We saw the different facets of, you know, love and relationship, especially with these women and their lives and how they navigate the relationship. And so I have to ask you about that. In you exploring this, you know, can you, can women have it all? You know, it's a question to ask. You explore the different facets of these love life of these women. So can women have it? Can we have it all when it comes to love and relationship?
You know, I'm an idealist, so I want to say yes. And I think it was Oprah Winfrey that said, you can have it all, but not all at the same time, you know. And I don't know, you know, I don't have the full answer to that, but I do know that these women are deserving of whatever they want in life to make them feel full, to make them feel self-actualized, you know. If it means, you know, just an incredible love, yes, they deserve that as well. And so what I wanted to do in this book was pair the women with very challenging male counterparts. You know, and I always hear readers always tell me that all the men in your book need like a separate book. So we can get into their heads.
I have a list, or I have a list of the people that she needs to talk about. Starting with Johan,
Mr. Johan.
von Lodin.
Yes.
I need a book on this man and all the women he's been with, because why?
Why? Because that's again the thing about always looking for validation in somebody else's case, right? So Johan, without giving anything away, he had kind of a traumatic past, you know, in a relationship, and is the kind of guy that needs to always have a closed loop. So that whatever he experienced in the past wasn't closed, and so it's always trying to find what will close that loop for him.
Right.
And that was kind of what set him on his own journey.
Right.
You know, this way, and without giving anything away, because you have to read.
Yeah, because we have to read the book. Go get the book today. and besides, you know, just love. Let's even just talk about the characterization of this novel. It's written from a woman's or a female perspective.
Yes.
And I have to ask, what influenced this choice? Because you just said, you know, you'd have written it, all the other men, also the people are asking for these books about from this man's perspective. But why did you choose the female gaze in telling this story?
Because I want, and not just even the female gaze, the Black woman female gaze. Because what I wanted to show, just how complex and deep we are as well, right? Society likes to kind of maybe paint us as a caricature or maybe make us more one-dimensional. If I'm having a bad day, then she's being cranky and aggressive instead of assertive, you know. And there's so many stereotypes that are built around kind of strong Black women. And so with this book, I wanted to show from their gaze to say, you know what, yes, I can be strong. Yes, I can be confident. But you know what, I also need tenderness too. I also need to be taken care of too. I can also feel jealousy, I can feel lust and love. And so I wanted to show the women as just really deep, complex characters.
Right.
To fight against what society keeps projecting as just one-dimensional characters.
And these women, they were also very diverse as well. These women were diverse. You had Yasmin, who's from what, Somalia?
Yes,
She's Somalian, and an immigrant who moved away from home and came, found her way all the way to Sweden. We can't give away the book. There's also Brittany Ray, who's American. She's African-American. And there's also Kemi Adeyemi as well, who is Nigerian-American. And there are also other miniature characters as well, who are, I think, Turkish. But also these
Turkish, there was Iraqi characters.
Yeah, so there are different women, very diverse, you know. And I have to ask about how you were able to develop these characters. Can you share more about the development of your characters, and how did you manage creating just very diverse women, you know?
And absolutely, and so there's so many threads to that, and they all kind of came from the first book, because the first book, I knew what 3 themes I wanted to focus on first. I wanted to focus on career, culture, and class in the Nordics, because those are kind of 3 very hot topics in the Nordics. So career, it's actually quite difficult to get a job if you don't have a Nordic-sounding name. You know, it's very difficult for a lot of people. Class, it's still quite a classist society. And then culture, because there's a big difference between assimilation and integration. So assimilation says be less Nigerian, so you can be more Swedish. Integration says you can be Nigerian, Swedish. Right? And so I wanted to tackle all of those, and I knew that based on those themes, that's how the character started developing. I said, okay, I need to create a woman that tackles career, but that's also strong and powerful, and has to find a reason to move to Sweden. And that's how I came up with Kemi's character, where she's really powerful marketing exec in the US that was poached to move to Sweden. You know, so that's kind of how and then with Brittany, she had to be a former model, you know, that would catch the eye of like a super wealthy man, because it's all about looks, you know.
For them.
For them, exactly. So I needed to do that. And then with, you know, Muna and Yasmin, again, show the immigrant experience. What happens when you wear a hijab or a jilbab? How does society treat you, you know? And what boxes the society push you in. And so that's what I wanted to do. And once I knew the themes, the characters kind of slowly came to life.
Right. And I must say, well done, because you were able to capture not just these women, but also their culture as well, and their way of life, and being able to be respectful to the history of this people's culture in this book is quite phenomenal. So well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
And I think that, you know, I am a travel writer.
Yeah, there you go.
And for me, I spend a lot of time with different cultures. And for me, it's very important, if I'm going to write about someone's culture, I have to do it with respect, with nuance, with complexity, and with reverence. And so for me, that was what I brought into this fiction writing process.
See, that's why I love you. You're watching Literati right here on News Central TV. My guest today is Lolá Ákínmádé Åkerström. She is the author of Everything Is Not Enough, which is what we're reviewing right here on the show. We'll take a short break. When you come back on the other side, I ask her about that love life, and better yet, more. Stay with us.
Africa needs its own storytellers, people who understand the continent because they're from it. People who know that news is more than just a conversation starter, it's our stories. Because these stories run deeper than headlines and segments. It's about digging deeper to get the facts and telling the human side of every single story, not just the echoes from foreign headlines and perspectives. It's time to take back our narratives and share them in our voices. The birth of Africa's New Age reporting, and this is where it begins, right here at News Central TV, with stories that put Africa first.
and you're welcome back to Literati right here on New Central TV. It's where we showcase the very best of African literature, stories and poets, as well as writers as well. And I have a writer right here in the studio with me. Her name is Lolá Ákínmádé Åkerström, and she is the author of the book we're reviewing today, Everything is Not Enough. It follows the very messy lives of this women and how they find their place in Sweden. And now, before the break, we were talking about a characterization of the book, you know, your writing and everything in between. And one of the things about this women is that they are strong in their own way.
Yes.
Okay, I don't know about Brittany,
in our own way.
Because we have a beef. If I see Brittany, because I'm like, girl, sit down, all right? We need to talk, all right? Hold my hand when I tell you this. You know, what did you do? That's what would be myself and Brittany. Yeah. But I mean, I have to ask about these women and how determined that they were, but also how perfectly flawed that they are as well. We see them failing forward with each mistake, you know, and, you know, life's numerous curveball. I have to ask, is this your way of tackling the age-long societal notion, you know, or idea of the strong black woman?
Yes.
Was this your way of tackling?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, point blank, that was what I wanted to do, is show that if, for example, Kemi makes one mistake, is that it? Is she not given grace? Because we know other cultures, other people, they get so many chances to be better, to self-actualize. But black people, African people, are not given enough of that opportunity in broader society to make mistakes, you know, and the reason is because we are not treated as individuals.
Right.
So when I make a mistake, then it's like, well, I'm representing everybody making that mistake. And so that's kind of one of the things that I wanted to really tackle with this book, is to show that, you know, the concept of the strong black woman. Yes, we are strong, but and this is a Swedish proverb, but even the deepest well can also be drained.
Right.
You know, and we are some of the deepest wells in society.
Right. So. And look, you see this thing with black women, and the thing with it is that, and I have to say this, I think that because of this notion of black women, like you rightfully said, it hasn't given us space.
Yeah.
You know, there's this ideal that we have to be activists, we have to be, you know, champions of the society. Why can't we just be women?
Yeah.
You know, why can't we be given grace and space to not be strong? I don't want to be strong every day. I'm like, I want to cry.
Exactly.
Can I cry?
I know. I say it's like, you know, the Bridget Jones diary. We want to have our own diary. What we do nothing.
I want to be messy and clumsy, and just be me.
Yes.
And then, but I also think that it's also the way our society has formed us to be. Our mothers, our aunts, and maybe because they don't know any better, and I wouldn't blame them, right? But I just wish that I want to see more characters where they are messy, you know, they are clumsy, they are clueless about who they are, and people just looks at them and be like, oh, that's, you know, she's still beautiful, she's still amazing, and she gets to back the hottest guy in the room. You know,
and I'm writing those.
I can't even wait. I want to see more books like this, and I cannot wait. I can't wait. Speaking about, you know, tackling issues such as this, you tackle some very heavy themes in this book, from racism, immigration, prejudice, misogyny, I mean everything. And was this a deliberate attempt on your part, or if yes, if you chose to do this to tackle such hard-hitting issues, why did you choose that?
It's just organically part of the black experience. So I didn't even
say that again for those in the back.
It really is. So I didn't really choose. It's just, how does it feel like to be a black woman navigating society every day?
Right.
And these are just the issues we have to deal with.
Right.
And these are just a few I put in, you know, because at the end of the day, it's just, 24 hours in the, you know. And so for these issues, I wanted to bring them to life and say, you know, reader, how about you just walk in the shoes of these women and just see what it feels like to navigate society in their skin. So the books, you know, I always say that as a travel writer, I don't tell you go to Italy because Italy is beautiful. I never say that. I actually have to show you through my words, through my descriptions of the food and the streets and the atmosphere, why Italy is beautiful to go visit, right? So that's what I brought into this book, is being so descriptive, where you feel what these women are feeling every day, and then you're like, what? Is this how they get treated? Is this? And then the readers really feel a connection to the characters.
Right. And you do a fantastic job with that. Another, issue that you tackle is that of trauma.
Yeah.
It's another theme that you do this very excellently well. Now, these women, in some way or the other, they're dealing with trauma directly or indirectly.
Yes.
And there's also secrets as well, which is like at the core of the plot of the story. It really drives the story, as well as mistakes and consequences. And so some readers and critics, they will say, oh, I'm tired of seeing black women tackling trauma.
Yeah.
That's the notion we see now with readers. Like, I don't want to see one black woman, dealing with trauma. I don't want to see a black woman dealing with issues. I beg. I just want to see light women. I mean, I also said that as well. So how would you respond to this type of criticism when you
I would love to chase butterflies in like fields and like do nothing, right? But context matters. So I still live in the Nordics. I live in Sweden, and our stories are not being told enough. Right. So it's a place that doesn't like to highlight the struggles of others and to fully acknowledge, And so for me to just write about Black joy when I know a lot of people suffering and feel like their voices are not heard feels kind of disingenuous, right? So I will always write about, women overcoming at the end, but these are issues in society that we just have to talk about. And it's still a region that is missing a lot of literature that doesn't center like whiteness. So we have like a big, blue ocean where we need to fill with more stories of people that live there, multi-generations that are not white, but are also Swedes or Norwegian or Danish. You need to fill that big gap of stories.
Right.
And for you to start dealing with problems, you actually have to name the problem and face it.
And you have to conceptualize that problem and put it out so people can see themselves in it.
So that's it. So a lot of the readers of both In Every Mirror She's Black and Everything Is Not Enough are also from the Nordics, and I get the most incredible, humbling letters saying, I feel seen. I feel seen.
That's beautiful.
And I think for me, that's above everything else. Is the core of what I do, both as a travel writer, even as an author, is writing stories that make people feel seen, heard, and acknowledged.
That's beautiful. Another thing about being seen is connection and community.
Yeah.
And we see this in this book as well. It was explored beautifully. It was almost as if these women that we have come to love and root for them, we see them, not finding themselves until they connected with the community and they blossomed.
Yes.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's kind of a departure from the first book, because in the first book,
they were all
isolated, very different, so that when people thought they were going to form this kind of Charlie's Angels trio of friendship, no, because they have very different backgrounds, maybe different religions or different classes. I'm an idealist. I want everybody to sing Kumbaya, but in reality,
it's not the same.
They could, but with this book, they started finding each other. They were still not all best friends, but they could see where they could lean on each other and appreciate each other and see each other as individuals. And that's what community does, is you don't have to be besties, but you can look at each other and say, I got you. Don't worry, I got you. So.
That is wonderful. Well, again, congratulations and well done. Now I have to ask you, what's in store for us? Are you working on any new projects? Are you going to continue to explore similar themes? Are you, setting, do you see your writing evolving after this, this now sophomore collection, or this sequel and the debut? Is it going to change? What is it like?
So I'm super excited. I'm working on lots of different book projects now. There is a book that's it's done. It's coming out next year, publication around May of next year, called Bitter Honey. And I'm super excited about that because this is a little bit of historical fiction. So I'm going back to the 1970s and early 80s, talking about what it feels like to migrate to Europe in that time, but then also in this book, I'm tackling a lot of things. I'm tackling nationalism. I'm tackling even Eurovision and just music. And And so this book, Bitter Honey, I'm super excited about it. You know, I think it's a very different book, but at the same time, such a deep character journey that I can't wait for others to discover it.
Okay. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
So this is the part of the show where it's called Humor Judith Game Show. Can I hear the drum rolls will go. So it's where I ask you, random questions or rapid fire questions, and you have to answer me as quickly as possible.
Okay.
You ready?
I'll try.
Yeah. This is where I'm going to beef with you.
Okay,
this is where we're going to settle our scoreboard.
Let me remove
because because some of the characters in this book, I was upset. I was furious, and I think we had a conversation before we went on there. So the first one I have to ask you: do you think Kainene from Half of Yellow Sun is alive? Rapid fire question, quickly.
Yes. Okay.
Poetry or short stories?
Short stories.
Long form fiction or short stories?
Long form fiction.
Oh, okay. Cinema or Netflix and chill?
Netflix and chill.
Did Kemi Adeyemi settle? Yes or no?
Yes.
I said it! Kemi Adeyemi settled, and I'm so glad that the author who wrote this character agrees with me. Because when I was reading this book here, I was like, this girl settled that big. Like, so I am so happy that you finally. And why did you make her settle?
Well, because I think it was no, absolutely. But it's also going back to that opera thing that can you have everything you want but all at the same time, and sometimes the things we want may not be what we need. We truly need. So so I wanted to explore all of that through that character.
So she settled. She did.
in knowing the drive she had, and I think she might have. Maybe that was not the best space.
That's not the best space. I think she dialed back and she settled.
Yeah. So maybe if she had moved Tobias away from that and then moved somewhere else, then I think maybe then she would kind of bloom the way she really wants.
Let me leave it here.
Yes.
Because I want to go more, but I'm going to leave it here. This has been Literati, and I hope that you've had enough fun. And if you went into girl chart, forgive us. We're just two women. We're just girls. You know what I mean? Like, we're just girls. Forgive us. But I want to say thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for joining us. And also thank you, Lola. I appreciate you for coming all the way down here in Sweden to be a guest here. And congratulations on Everything Is Not Enough. A stellar end to this beautiful women.
Thank you
and we appreciate you for writing such amazing characters. And I want to see you back here.
I'll be back.
All right, we're looking forward to the next. You got Bitter Honey to discuss. I can't wait for Bitter Honey as well. So thank you once again for coming on. Well, you can grab the book. It's Everything Is Not Enough. This has been Literati right here on News Central TV. My name is Judith Atibi. Until next time, it's bye for now.